I'd like to welcome you to our Lunch Hour Legal Marketing webinar. Either you're here with us live or you're listening to our podcast via the Legal Talk Network. Either way, we're happy to have you here. And today we're going to hear from Mark Homer, and Mark is the CEO of GNGF. Mark, does that stand for something?
Yeah, it used to stand for Get Noticed, Get Found, but I guess our brand people decided we wanted to go the cool agency route and just shortened it to letters.
Got it. Get noticed, get found. All right, I like it. So Mark is, as I said, the CEO, and he's had about 20 years of technology, marketing, and consulting experience. And GNGF works with a number of law firms. They work with businesses. Mark's made a number of presentations to business owners of all kinds and has done a number of CLEs. So he is going to talk to us today about the latest trends in marketing for law firms. As usual, feel free to ask questions via the chat, and Mark will answer those throughout the webinar. And he has also provided us with his new book, which is Online Law Practice Strategies, How to Turn Clicks into Clients. And he's giving us anyone who's participating today, the Kindle version for free, and we've got a link to that. I don't know if they need a special download code.
I'll link it here. They can just go fill out a form, and I'll make sure everybody gets the information.
Okay, great. Then we will send that out. The only thing, Mark, I'm going to ask is that, as one of our attendees has pointed out, getting a little bit of sort of distortion from you when you speak. It sounds a little bit fuzzy. Do you have a microphone going there, or?
I do. Let me check the audio options real quick.
Okay. Let's just see if we can get that sorted out before we start off.
Yeah. All right. Is that any better? I switched the microphone.
Yeah, I actually do think that sounds better. Why don't we start, and I will interrupt you if it seems to continue to be a problem.
Okay.
Sound good? All right. I will hand it over to you.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. So thank you. I'm going to jump right in. A little bit about me. I said I'm the CEO of Get Noticed, Get Found, GNGF. We are a law firm marketing agency. All we do work with right now, and have for the past 4 years, are law firms. So a lot of information I'm providing is just from a lot of data and stuff we're seeing. One, over the law firms we work with, but also looking at the industry landscape. My business partner and I speak at conferences and technology conferences all over the country. So we often are able to kind of see what's coming up and what's coming next, kind of borrow and stuff from other industries. So excited to give this presentation.
Mark, can I interrupt you can I interrupt you just for a minute? Do you mind turning down your audio just a little bit? It's coming in real strong. And I think if you turn it down, it might be a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I initially did. Any better? Any better?
Have you turned it down a bit?
Yeah. Not any better?
I'm not sure it's coming in that much better.
Weird. Yeah, this is the setup we always use on our webinars. I don't know what's changed on here. I'm trying to see if I can.
That sounds better. It's when you get louder, it's harder to hear.
Okay. Let me switch to. When you talk, you get an echo, but let me switch to the computer versus the external microphone.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second.
Sure.
Now I've lost my mouse. Yeah, I'll just try to talk a little softer. Is that any better?
Yeah, I think that is a little bit better.
Okay.
All right.
So something unique about me is I have actually survived a plane crash. So it's not actually the actual plane I was in, but it did look very similar to that. We landed, flipped over a few times. But what's ironic about it is I was actually trying to do this when I was ended up crashing a plane. So I'm one of the few skydivers that has a log in his book of jumping out at 0 feet. So parachute actually deployed as we were running out of the plane. So just something unique. You may have heard GNGF or Get Found. My business partner and I, like I said, speak around the country a lot. We're also published in Forbes, NBC, LMA, etc. So if you've seen our name, Jabez, Labred, or myself, that's probably why. But I bring this up not to say, brag or anything, but just say that, because of this access, we get to interview a lot of people in the industry. We get access to a lot of information that's coming out. So hopefully that helps us with this presentation on what's coming next. In terms of our book, we do have a book called Online Law Practice Strategies, another place you may have heard about us. The 4th edition was actually released literally like last week. I think we were going back and forth on email. I was pretty excited that we got it out in time for this. So the 4th edition just released for this particular webinar. We are going to offer a free copy of the new edition. There's the URL. I'll have it at the end, and I guess we can probably send it out at the email to the participants as well. Just gngf.com/lunch-hour. Just fill out your information there. I'll probably somebody verify your email address, make sure we have that, and then when we do our promotion with Amazon, where we're going to offer the book for free for a little bit for a certain set of people, we'll make sure you guys are on that. So just make sure you get that information in. And trends. All right. So trends for 2015, 2016. It's kind of like, we're wrapping up on 2015. Things we've seen, continue to see, and then also, what we're expecting into 2016. It shouldn't be any surprise for a trend, but mobile continues to grow in importance. And we're going to dive into some reasons why. I have some data I'll probably share along the way. Also, this on-demand economy, the on-demand expectations now of kind of end users, consumers, business users. It's just it's increasing rapidly. Obviously, mobile is a piece of that, but then on-demand expectation. How is your firm set up for that? We trust strangers now. Surprise! I guess stranger danger no longer anymore. We trust strangers more than we trust our friends when it comes to kind of how we purchase and our purchase decisions. And the data just gets stronger and stronger. And then links still matter. Kind of question mark there. So in digital marketing, especially for your web presence, links back to your website were a big strength indicator over the years. And then there was a big pushback on, well, links aren't as important. I guess I'm here to say that links are still mattering. All right, the future is mobile. Some interesting data points. I find some of these kind of funny, but what's really interesting about this is this research report was from 2013. So we're almost 3 years later. 79% of people have their phone on or near them all but 2 hours of their waking day. I'd say that's probably definitely higher. I mean, mine is right here. Never leave home without it. 62% reach for their smartphone immediately after waking up. I had a friend who told me that there's only 3 things you can take to bed with you. Your spouse, your dog, and your phone. How many people have this phone laying right there next to their dresser, next to their nightstand? 25%, again, this data is a little bit old, so it's probably higher, but 25%, a quarter of people can't recall the last time their smartphone wasn't even next to them. So people have access to a smartphone all hours of the day, are relying on it. You hear about the term second screen. I don't know about your habits, but I know mine and my kids are even worse. We're watching TV. Everybody's watching TV, but doing this, staring right at that phone, looking right at their smartphone, and the TV's just on in the background. It's almost noise. So some of the trends for this, I want to bring up some points. There's two generations that are really interesting, and I'm as you mentioned, 20 years already in the business world, so I'm way out of this generation. But millennials are 18 to 33 now. So we talk about millennials and all those kids, and they're just all mobile with their kids, and it's not really important. 33 years old. Yeah, they're adults. Many are middle managers with actually very good incomes. Millennials grew up with mobile devices, not phones. So I don't think I had a mobile phone until I'd already graduated from college. They had phones early on, but then as they started hitting their formative years, they were already mobile devices. On average, millennials are sending 100 texts a day. It's amazing. I mean, I know the amount of texts I get from my kid in the middle of the day. It's surprising. I mean, he's at school, so I'm not even sure how that's happening. But mobile devices, and access to text messaging, it's just the way the millennials think and work is much different. 2/3 would rather text than speak to someone. So how are we preparing for that? This is interesting. If you really think about it, millennials knew Amazon, the retailer, before they knew Amazon, the river. Scary thought, but think about it. They've just grown up with Amazon. 75% are on social media from a mobile device. More than 75% are on social media. I think it's almost like 95% of millennials are in some form of social media. But 75% of them, primary access to social media is from a mobile device. Okay, what's coming next? Gen Z, which is less than 20 years old, but already hitting that, some are hitting up in the teens. But here's what's coming next, right? So this is the largest population in the U.S. Shocking, but that kind of 0 to 20 right now is like the largest population. Gen Z works on images versus text. So Snapchat, Instagram, video. They can work on multiple screens at once. I mean, I don't know. I've got kids, 11, 13, and man, I mean, there's an iPad up, there's a TV over there, they're on their video games. It's crazy. They've only really experienced touchscreens. How many times have you seen a kid go up to a TV and just start trying to move it around? They don't understand why not. This one's interesting. Gen Z is learning as much from YouTube as they are from school. In fact, some schools are flipping the curriculum now, where kids go home and watch kind of like how a teacher would teach. So they watch the lesson during the night, and they come in during the day and they discuss and work and figure out and support. So it's like they're learning as much from YouTube. They're going online to learn how to do things, how to play this game or that game, or like little experiments, and it's amazing how much is out there. At the same time, the YouTube is like 2, 3, 4 minute chunks. It's like bite-sized media, like a little snack size of everything. And then here's a surprising thing: Gen Z is leaving Facebook. One, a lot of them don't even get on it. Big reason why Facebook bought Instagram, right? I mean, Gen Z was like crushing Instagram, and they weren't on Facebook, and then many were even leaving it. So that's where my generation is, and so they're like, we don't want to be where our parents are, right? So what does this mean for you? So basically, are you ready? Are you ready? Do you have a mobile responsive website? Does your website, if I go to it on a mobile device, do I have to pinch and zoom and look around? Or is it taking me to a whole other site that's a very different experience if I was on one screen and looking at it here? Because again, these new generations are on multiple screens at all the time, and they want that similar passive handoff. Can people get a hold of you from a mobile device? Is there like some form of chat? Again, they don't want to call. Heaven forbid they pick up the phone and call somebody. But this is the generation that's coming up that we need to make sure we're ready for. And also, is your firm set up correctly on mobile search? If that's where they are, if that's where they're looking, are we ready to be found in that area? This is an example of a search on the web. Many of you, if you've done some basic digital marketing work, hopefully your website, if you search for your name, you would see something like this on the right. It's called the knowledge graph. It's going to pull together your reviews, your hours, your address, maybe even a map location there. They have like they may stick an image in there. So that's the knowledge graph. You're gonna see that all the time on Google when you do a Google search on your own firm name. However, how does that look online? The knowledge graph is there as well. So you can see here, I just did a search, and there's a number of the top firms coming up. There's the information about reviews, and then suddenly there's some other information that I could quickly call and get directions. This is a mobile device, right? I can jump and get directions. These are things that Google is really smart. They do a lot of research to figure out what the consumers want in the search results. Constantly testing, like 50 tests a day they're playing with stuff because they got billions and billions of users. So they're constantly playing what matters. So if Google has call and directions and stuff right there, we need to make sure we're thinking about that as well. How does it look when people use voice? This is an example of Siri. If somebody says, hey, I need a DUI attorney, just on their phone, and they, use Siri, can they find you? Coming down the road or wearables, is there a way to, they're searching on there, I can lift my Apple Watch and just start talking to Siri. So are you ready, and are you being found in these areas as well? It's just something to think about and make sure that, we're set up correctly. As I mentioned, Google does a lot of testing and tracking and figuring out what matters to users. So why should we redo all that test and figure it out again? Let's take a lead from Google. And here's an example of where this is the website where this is actually an example I think that we did. Yeah, this is one we did, and you can see right here, right at the top. Now this wouldn't be on their website, but on their mobile device, it suddenly shows 3 icons. Call us, contact us, request an appointment, or directions, information, ready at your fingertips. All right. I'm glad I cut down the slides. We're already 23 minutes in, and I'm just getting to the second thing. All right, the on-demand expectations. This is something that you may be familiar with in terms, when I say on-demand, but you may be more familiar with the actual companies that are driving this revolution. When I say on-demand expectations, what I'm saying is people expect to be able to get what they want, when they want it, where they want it now. Like I shouldn't have to wait for a company to be open to go call them. There should be a way online for me to go interact somehow with somebody whenever I'm ready with my phone in my hand and it pops in my head. We've got things like Uber with the sharing economy, Airbnb, TaskRabbit. I can, go on my phone and order up somebody to come over and maybe help me collate and file for 3 hours, and then they're out. Ship, an online business-to-business kind of shipping platform. It's amazing. Some of these aren't in all the areas right now, but they're coming and they're growing, and it's only more out there. But what they're doing, Amazon Prime is another perfect example. Netflix. We can go on. It's like when I want, what I want, when I want it, and wherever I want it. I can read my Kindle on my laptop, and I can take it to my iPad, and I can take it to my phone, and I can actually use my Kindle. But I can use it in all those places, and they'll actually remember where I'm at every given point. So this expectation is just becoming accepted as what I should be getting as a consumer, as a user of digital media. So we need to make sure that we're thinking about this when we're looking at our marketing and looking at the way we're setting up our practice and interaction with prospective clients and then clients themselves. One thing that we always recommend is some form of online chat. If I'm expecting, when I have an issue or something pops in my head, or I go to my phone and search right now. As an aside, just think about your own behavior. I don't know if you guys remember the time when you used to be sitting around at a bar having a few beers with friends, and somebody would be like, talk about a movie, and for 20 minutes you rack your brain on, oh, who was that actor in that movie? They were also in this movie and that movie, and I can't remember their name. Well, nobody does that anymore because they just grab their phone and start searching, and everybody knows the information right now. Same thing goes if I have a problem. If I have a problem, I want to know the answer right now. I can talk to my phone. I can talk to my computer. I can type it in wherever I'm at. So make sure after hours, during hours, whatever, that you can interact with me as a consumer via chat, via like obviously the phone. But are you available after hours? is somebody available to take a call? It doesn't have to be you. Doesn't have to be your staff actually managing the chats. Somebody, at a call center could be helping out with this, and it'd be, they're not actually giving legal advice, right? But they're maybe keeping that person from searching to the next person until they get their answer, because this is the on-demand economy. I need it right now when I want it. It's not that that's right or wrong. It's just the way it is now. So we need to make sure we're supporting our marketing from that perspective. The chat provider, there's a number out there, but the one that I know works really well in the legal industry, has a lot of very easy to plug in solutions. It's Ngage, N-G-A-G-E. I think they were recently bought by another company, but they're still running strong. We utilize them a lot. There are other providers out there, but if you don't have live chat, gosh, it's so easy to set up. And what's great about it is, I know Engage and a number of the providers, their pricing model is you pay when you receive a chat that you accept. So it's like you can set this system up for super cheap, and then you have it on your website. On the left side here, you can actually see that's on a mobile phone. So right at the bottom mobile device there is like a live chat button. So it's right there. I can live chat. I can start texting. I can start having a chat on my mobile device, which again, 2/3 of millennials, 33 years old, 2/3 of them are going to prefer to chat than they are to actually pick up the phone and talk. Eventually, it's going to lead to a call, right? Eventually, you're going to have to get on the phone. But make sure that first on-demand request is available for you to grab and run with. Something else that we're starting to see expectations on is client portal. I actually just recently wrote a blog piece about this, kind of with the on-demand world. But client portals are something I think the legal industry is actually behind on. I'm actually surprised that the medical industry is beating the legal industry to the punch. I mean, I can now, with my local hospital and doctor and stuff, log in and get all my access to all my data. Now it's a more complicated login. It's like my banking, because it is very confidential information. But I can get all my recent tests. What was my cholesterol last time? What was my heart? What was this? What were all the recent things we had done, and what my next appointment should be. I mean, that's all online and available via client portal from the medical. I mean, gosh, the most backward industry when it comes to customer service. And so we now are seeing these are actually two products. There's a number of them out there. Don't use these as any recommendation. This is just an example of I think on the left you got Clio's tool where you can actually have all your interaction with your clients during the actual matter management through a client portal, so they can access documents and sign documents possibly if you've got like a DocuSign set up. My case on the right there, similar. They both also, I didn't have the screenshots from it, they both also have great iPad apps and mobile apps where consumers, again, expecting to use these devices can actually see what's going on with their case with your firm, or maybe even submit a question or ask something or look at a document or have that. I know Loop is a company. If you've purchased real estate, anytime in the last couple of years, you might have had all your documentation back and forth with your agent, via like a system called Loop. It's another client portal with real estate agents. You can do your entire transaction, sign, review documents, and everything from an iPad, or I guess a mobile phone, but that would be if you're reading your mortgage documents and stuff on a mobile phone. I'm not sure if I would recommend that, but you can do it on a mobile phone. You can sign all this information and see it all via an online portal. So it's something that we're going to start seeing more and more expectation of. Is I want to know how things are going in my case and in my matter when I want to know, and not when I have to pick up the phone and call and discuss something. So let's make sure we're ready to make that available. Like I said, there's a couple practice management tools that are rolling these things out. So I'm sure whatever tool you're already using, if you're not using one, I know these two are really fast to set up. They're in the cloud, but if you're already using one, see if they have a client portal feature coming down the road, and see what you can do to kind of get ahead of the game there. Another thing is text messaging. The on-demand, I mentioned having a chat, but what about actually being able to provide the way that 2/3 of millennials want to discuss things, which is via text? I know a lot of law firms are worried about capturing information. So let's make sure that we're utilizing a tool. But there are tools out there. These are two quick examples. There's a number of them out there. A call fire is more of like an outbound messaging and double checking appointments and stuff, but still kind of works great. In the chat, there's some other things. Look for things where you are actually able to kind of capture the text information and treat it like an email, kind of like email management back in the day. Text messaging is going to be the same thing. Go ahead, from your computer, you could be texting back and forth with somebody, and they could be on their device where they want to be and when they want to do it. So it makes it a lot easier to capture information into your matter management system, but also be acting in the way that your prospects are expecting. Okay, halfway down here. So another trend that this has been coming on for a while, I'd say last few years, we've been talking about this, but man, the data is just scary now. When I say we trust strangers, I'm really kind of talking about is, online and shopping, and when I say shopping, like, looking around for something, whether that be, a profession, a doctor, a dentist, a law firm, whether it be, looking for a book online, we're looking for, a dry cleaner for your house. It's looking for some kind of like business you want to interact with. People are turning to online reviews like crazy. The review economy, the Yelps, as much as it's like one of those like love-hate things with Yelp. You need to have your stuff there, but man, it's a pain in the butt. But reviews really matter. Some basic information is an infographic from our last edition of our book. 79% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. 73% say positive reviews make them trust a business more. And it goes on. We got 72% of users will use a local business if it has a 3-star rating, 92 a 4-star. And look at the drop off. 2-star, 1-star. If you don't have any stars and people have stars, they think that's gonna react for your prospects. So one of the interesting things about that is if you think about your own behavior, have you ever had it where somebody recommended a book or even maybe a service business? Maybe like I had my carpets cleaned not too long ago. But somebody referred a book to me. It's like, oh, hey, I know, we've talked about books before. You might like this book. So I go on to Amazon and look up the book, and it's like, let me start reading the reviews. We just do that now. And I start reading these reviews, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't really think that book's for me. But my friend told me, hey, I know who you are. We've talked about books before. You would like this book. And then I let strangers basically, overweigh this, friend's decision. That's happening all over. What's interesting is that data and that infographic is actually old. It's crazy. 92% of consumers are reading online reviews. That's up 4% just from last year. 40% of consumers form an opinion just by reading 1 to 3 reviews. Well, that's good. It's not like we need hundreds of reviews. That's hard, right? You're a law firm. It's hard to get reviews. Only 13% of consumers consider using a business that has a 1 or 2-star rating, right? So that's even less than the data I just showed you. And a star rating, this was interesting to me. Star rating is now the #1 factor used by consumers to judge a business. Okay? So yes, we still believe, and we have a lot of data that shows that word of mouth referrals is still a big, big driver for someone to look to for when picking a law firm. We did a big study last year that showed that over 60-something% of people prefer to get information about a law firm from word of mouth. However, a majority of those people, I think it's like 50 to 60% as well, the majority of those people will go online and look up that firm before they call them. So just that started from last summer, so 2014 summer. And so to 2015 now, the star rating, if they do go online, that's the #1 factor consumers are using. So how does this actually look online? Man, Google's loving the stars. Stars show up everywhere. Here's 2, random searches: a divorce attorney in Tyler, Texas, a personal injury lawyer. And you're gonna see right at the 2 top returns. One's from Yelp and one's the actual law firm listing from Google. Stars right there, right at the top. Probably not a surprise that the ones with stars probably came up higher. Here's an example that we talked about, that knowledge graph. So you have the knowledge graph, you've got, you search for the firm on the right, up pops something from Google with the stars and the information. This one was interesting. I have seen this, hit or miss, so it's obviously something Google's testing. But if I click on the reviews, Google pops up a window to let me look through the reviews, and then I can click off of the window. I have found no other instance in Google where they do a pop-up to let me do something and go back. Google typically will, their default is redo a search or take you to the web page, not do a pop-up. So it just shows you that how much value they're putting on reviews. Google bought Zagat, guys. They're trying to figure this out. They definitely put a lot of value on it. So this is how much value. They're actually creating a pop-up over their own real estate to show information about reviews. And of course, it is on mobile. So, let's don't forget about mobile. It is, front and center here. Again, probably no surprise why the firm is ranking a little bit higher. So a lot of factors go into it, but reviews are one. Where to get reviews? And I'll be completely honest, it is not easy. In the legal space, getting reviews is hard. People don't want to say, thanks for getting me off that meth charge. So, but even we're talking about sensitive subjects, whether it's divorce, DUI, some injury incident that they don't really want to talk about, the fact that they work with a lawyer. So there's sensitive information you're dealing with, so it's hard. Where to get reviews though? We recommend Google Plus and Avo. And whether you like it or not, Yelp is still an area that ranks well and shows up in the listings. So if you can get reviews on Yelp, that's great. But it's a tougher one because their filters are so strong. So if it's somebody who hasn't done a lot of reviews on Yelp, you're going to get, they're going to be their first review will be for your firm. Oftentimes that'll get filtered out. Google Plus is being a little stricter in the filters as well. Although it's one of the few places where I think you can still have somebody leave a review anonymous. So it's often a good place to send somebody who's never really spent a lot of time online and send it to your Avo profile. Avo ranks really well. That's another one we really recommend. I didn't really talk about Avo and the rest of the deck here, but something that we're seeing it continue to dominate in the rankings. So take advantage and make sure your Avo profile is cleaned up. They've got a couple of mobile apps now. They're doing a lot of consumer advertising. So stick around with them. I think there's a lot of positive momentum there that you might as well ride. And then your actual page itself. Make sure if somebody clicks on your law firm page from Google, not your website, but your actual Google Plus global page. They've actually changed the interface a little bit. Gosh, it was not even a month ago. I know through us, around as a law firm marketing agency to clean up a lot of stuff. Layout's a little different than this, but still make sure you've got a good picture. Make sure your user front and center. Make sure your description makes sense. Hours are correct. Address is correct. That should be a no-brainer, but believe it or not, we get a lot of things where the phone number's wrong on these pages. And then please watch out. I say reviews are important, but we get these emails all the time, and we're an agency. So we get these emails that have, we can get you 5 reviews a month for this much money, and it's not a lot. So, it's one of those things where if it's too good to be true, it probably is. You can go out and look at reviews and probably see the ones that look a little fake. We definitely can go and see if that same person reviewed, a dentist in Boston, a dry cleaner in Omaha. It's obvious, but they're out there and using words like reputation and stuff, which are big buzzwords. So this isn't singling this company out. They just happened to send me an email that was obviously one of those too good to be trues, and I grabbed them and put them out here. So shame on them for emailing me something horrible, but look out for these type of things. All right, links still matter. So in this day and age of social media and reviews and local search and all these kind of things we worry about in digital marketing, the original things we always talk about is make sure you have good backlinks to your website. Now what that led to was a lot of people finding creative ways to have links that were nefariously, I guess, acquired kind of like bot links, creating websites just to create links. Legal industry definitely has a lot of websites that have existed for a while that were just there to basically pay some money to get a link to your website. Google did a great job of kind of getting rid of a lot of that junk. It penalized some sites, as some of you were caught up in that. But I know for last year we spent a lot of time just cleaning up people's websites that came to us. But for the most part, it's doing pretty well. But links do still matter. I see a lot of drawing going on. That's not me. I'm not sure who's doing that. So links do still matter. But how do we get them? We don't buy links. I recommend not buying links. But what we recommend is getting contextual links versus like just looking for the link. When I say contextual, it means finding something that applies to what you're really doing, and then actually having a real link for that in context with what your business is. So one thing that I put on here, scholarships rock. I'm going to talk about scholarships as a way to kind of get some of these contextual links that still do matter, and it's just a different way of thinking than it used to be. What I would call it is alternative strategies. Basically, we're going to go old school. We're going to take traditional marketing strategies and figure out a way to maximize the search and social value. And when I say maximize the search value, a lot of that is getting links to your website by using traditional marketing strategies. One of the ones that we like is looking at PR, things that PR agencies did, and they did it for press reasons because it was positive press. It got you mentions in newspapers, or it got you positive feeling in the community. So we like to look at some of those strategies and see how can we apply that online and then maximize it with links and social shares and stuff. So one of the ones that we've been doing over the past year and a half now, and we've got some great data out of this that's showing it's working really well, is scholarships. So I thought I'd share it. I mean, feel free to take and use this kind of stuff. So what you'll do is you'll create a scholarship on your website, and you'll create maybe an infographic about it, create a page about it. You'll take some emails, send it out maybe to your list, and then you accept, people subscribing for a scholarship on your website. But the hard part is how we get the links. So here's kind of like the list I was just going through. So you put the instructions out on your website. We always recommend creating an infographic because visual media is something that plays really well. I have it as an extra thing to talk about at the end. So visual media is something that, especially with that kind of Gen Z we talked about, they would be the ones looking for a scholarship. They're looking at images and Instagram videos, etc. So how do we get the links though? Well, we actually have to reach out to the schools. Schools keep, counselors, colleges, all these, school websites have lists and lists of all these available scholarships. They go out looking for some of those things, but a lot of times they don't know where to go find everything, so they take a lot of people's phone calls. And so if you do actual manual, old school pick up the phone outreach, you can often get a hold of the school and they'll put your scholarship up on their website, linking back to your website because that's where all the information in the application is. There are some services out there that will host your scholarship for you, but they host it on their website, so don't do that. That kind of takes away from some of the value of this. And then a video versus an essay. If you're going after a 17-year-old Gen Z person we talked about, it's an easy choice. You're going to maybe allow them to submit a video versus an essay, and they can post a video on YouTube and send it to you. And a lot of them probably will then say, hey, look at this video I created, and share it with all their friends. Now, this is an example of a contextual link. So this is actually from a educational institution that took the text and stuff that we provided, put it on their website, and of course we've got the firm name there. We've got information about the firm, the fact that it's a law office, some of the names of the people, where, St. Louis. You'll see a link to the actual firm website, all on this university's website. Now, the nice thing about universities and many high schools is they are what are called .edu links. It is, anybody can get a .org link pretty much. We can get a .com, .co, all these kind of random ones. But .edu and .gov are reserved, and you have to be a government institution to get a .gov and an educational institution, and go through hoops to do that to get a .edu link or .edu web address. So getting a link from a .edu carries a little more weight in Google's mind because there's a very there's a level to be a .edu, so they kind of like give it more weight in the rankings. So getting these links from .edus are good. This example of somebody taking their essay and putting it up on YouTube to submit it, and a lot of people will make it private and submit it, and that's great. But here's somebody who put it right on YouTube, and I think in the description it said, put on YouTube, put a link to our website in there, or to this page. So you'll see right at the bottom, barely on the screen there, there's a link to that law firm on the YouTube video. Obviously share it with friends and family because there's 61 views of Nathan here. And I'm sure this wasn't like searched for. So it's, probably he's sharing it out there to talk about why he wanted to earn the scholarship. And they had a number of video applications with this. So that scholarship is a great way. You can also do some press outreach. Again, go kind of old school. Most press outlets, probably all that are worth anything, I guess, have a website. So whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a TV station, whatever, they have a website where they're publishing a lot of information. In this case, here was somebody who wrote an article about when the texting 911 came out. They wrote some stuff about, hey, our county, this county allows it, this county doesn't. So the text to 911 that was getting national buzz on like Today's Show and everything. Well, the local reporter, worked with this law firm to kind of clear up the misconception that it's not available in our county yet. So don't go text 911, you're not going to get any help. And so, you got press mention, links to his website, put the blog on his website as well, with more detail. So it was, kind of one of those win-wins where the press got a great article, got a resource, and then the law firm got a link from there. This is another example of somebody, it's called a low designer. He had died from caffeine pill overdose, so it was like a kind of class action that was going on. But the family wanted to, was getting all this insurance and stuff, so the law firm actually paid us on behalf of the family to create a page to honor Logan and then collect money for the scholarship fund they were trying to raise and stuff. So and then in the media they were getting inundated to all the media said, please contact this law firm for anything as well. So link and press for the law firm, but it also provided a great again what are some good PR tactics that can do good and provide, how do we provide benefit from that? So an example of that, they got on the Dr. Oz show, a number of websites as well. Sponsorships. Here's one that, it's easy. How many times do you get hit up for, or you probably already did, sponsor this little league team, sponsor this soccer team. Let's make sure that if you do, one of the questions I recommend asking is, oh, that's great. On your website, where will that show up? Many of these, so this is a local, this is a suburb, it's to say, NYO Mason. It's a local little league, I guess. And they have an entire section, including on their banner and stuff, for sponsors to have links. So it's a link back to your website from an organization. So again, you get the kind of community benefit, but here we get a very targeted link, and you can put some usually text around it and stuff as well. And then one thing I recommend is just if you're looking for where to sponsor and you're wanting to provide some good benefit, but also look for what's going to be a benefit back from a search perspective. We do is we just Google that city and say, that city in charity or that city in nonprofit stuff and see what ranks high. If those are ranking high, then they're doing a good job on their own building a web presence that's doing well. If you then get a sponsorship on those pages, you're going to have a higher link value. Oops, that was old. Let me skip that one. All right. We're about running out of time. I'm just going to give you 4 more things to keep an eye on, and then we'll take questions. Visual marketing. I mentioned we've got Instagram, you've got Pinterest, you've got YouTube. I kind of include in there. Like this like bite-sized information. Infographics work well. Look at all the content maybe you've been creating if you've been doing blogging and stuff like that and recommended over the past few years. How can you take that and create like a cool infographic with all this data you've done over time? Social media, if you're just out there posting stuff on Facebook, nobody's probably listening to your law firm. You got to kind of pay to play these days. So there's a whole section of things we can talk about just on social media and the psychographic and demographic information you can market to on Facebook alone, let alone the other area. And I'll be happy to answer questions on that or talk about that more. Security is becoming a big buzzword as well. Because of all the things that have happened, but just make sure, and this really isn't a marketing, this is more of a prevent bad marketing, prevent that ugly PR nightmare of having some very sensitive things in your firm get accessed. So sometimes using a cloud provider may be more secure than having your own servers that are going to go bad or whatever issues there. There's pros and cons, but just be aware that that's something we're seeing people actually ask questions about. Oh, you're accepting a form with this information. Is it a secure form online? The client portals, etc. And then technology competence. It's something we've been seeing, obviously, in the ABA model rules, kind of like get inserted in there, state by state, kind of adding it in. But we don't really know what it means. I mean, like, what does it mean to be competent in technology? But definitely, what I recommend is really, really know who's doing the work for you. If you have somebody helping implement your practice management system, you have somebody doing social media, you have somebody doing your website, you're responsible for any ethic violations that they do or cause. So somebody puts up something without the proper disclaimer, depending on your state. If somebody puts up some reviews and helps get reviews, and it talks about how you're the best ever and you won millions of dollars every time, guaranteed. Well, you're going to be in violation of some things, and we're seeing the Bar Association start to go after some of these, like reviews are actually getting picked up and sanctioned. So just be aware of, while there's a technology competence piece that's, very, very gray right now and becoming clear over the next few years, I'm sure, definitely you're responsible for the people you hire to do the work. So just make sure that they understand your ethics rules in your state or that you're really keeping an eye out. I would always recommend not allowing anything to be posted on your website unless you signed off or someone on your firm signed off. So with that, I will actually I'll put this slide back up so that you guys can have the link. But I'm happy to take some questions. I know we got a few minutes left. Now, if questions only come to the chat or.
Yeah, any questions? If there are any questions, please put them through the chat. Mark would be happy to take questions. Mark, you've also given them your contact information as well.
Yeah, so GNGF.com, and I'm Mark, M-A-R-K, at GNGF.com. Twitter, Mark_Homer. But yeah, feel free to, and when you get our book, there's even some ways to contact us as well for just questions. We are more than happy to spend time. I mean, I've got multiple people here, consultants that will jump on the phone with people who randomly email us because they read something in our book and had a question. And we'll take, 15, 20 minutes to just kind of walk through answer some questions people have. We try to, we go out and do CLEs, we wrote the book and everything. We take a very educational perspective on things. So pretty much our agency has grown because we've consulted a lot, and then people along the way have just asked us to do more and more. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I'm not seeing any questions right now. So I think if folks want to follow up, I'm sure they will. But thank you so much for that presentation. It was excellent.
I just saw the question just came into me.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It was on how to deal with negative references on websites. Gosh, good question. I want a lot. So there's a number of ways. basic recommendation that we start with is the best defense is a really, really good offense. So continue to try to overwhelm your reviews with positive reviews. So if you have negative reviews and you can't go get positive reviews, then maybe look internally a little bit. Maybe there's some other issues. But if you've got to have happy clients out there. So work on getting some positive reviews. Don't get them all at once. Don't be the firm that suddenly shows a negative review and then a week later 10 positive reviews, because that looks a little fishy. But if every month you get a couple good reviews, that will slowly. Recency sometimes has a way of moving up on the stars in the reviews, so that helps. If it's specific to there's one website out there called Ripoff Report that it's very shady in my opinion, but it's kind of one of those websites where they get something on there. They used to rank really well. They don't rank quite as well anymore, but they still show up sometimes. And then they kind of say, well, you can pay us and we'll move some stuff off the site. So there is a way to do some legal action that will be enough to tell Google to remove it from the search rankings. So it may still exist out there, but nobody's going to find it if they can't find it on Google. And if somebody has a question about that, they can email me. There's a it was either Lawyeronomics or Tech Show or somewhere I saw a presentation by somebody who gave very, very specifics on that, on the rip-off report and stuff. Actually, it might have been PubCon. So I had that information. I actually had the person's name if you had issue there. But if it's just something like Yelp or Google where you got a negative review, then I would recommend just working on a positive strategy. One thing that Amazon did a study a few years ago, and it was something like products that had a bunch of reviews that were mixed. So like had like a 1 star, had 5 stars and 4 stars, sold more than products that were all 5 stars. So sometimes everybody always knows there's that one guy who never is happy. So but if there's an overwhelming majority that are saying great things, then I think that's the way to work in the long run. There's also strategies on how to approach. Sometimes you can respond to reviews on some sites. In doing that, my recommendation is it's okay, but always respond like you're responding for the next prospect looking at that review. Never respond at the person who left the review. And then lastly, the last tip is if it was a fake review or somebody like a disgruntled opposing counsel's client, they lost. So maybe they get pissed and they go online and they say horrible things. If you can prove that that person was somebody who was on the other side of the aisle, right, and you can show Google that or Yelp or whatever, their terms of service say that they have to be a customer or client of yours to leave a review. So if you can prove that definitely they weren't because they were on the opposite side, then sometimes they'll pull that review away. It may take 4 or 5 months, but that's another way to work it. Good question. I think we're about out of time then.
Yeah, I think I just saw someone may have accidentally tried to raise their hand. But if you do have a question, if you could put it in the chat box. All right, here we go. Here's a last question. Can you get paid for video chats?
I need to know a little more.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The question, I mean,
I think so. They're asking. So you're asking if you can do a video chat with a client and get paid for providing legal services. I think that's the question. So, and I think that's a little bit different than what you're describing, Mark, because what you're describing is not, you're talking about not providing necessarily legal services, actually probably not providing legal services, but instead, letting people know you're there. It's basically, it's a, it's not necessarily a consultation, because obviously you'd want to do a fee agreement and a conflict check, and you don't want to be giving, free advice, all that good stuff. So it's more of a way to chat with a potential client and basically sell your services to them, if that's what I understand.
Yeah, so that's one way, but I mean, I guess the kind of virtual law office concept of I mean, we're seeing it in multiple industries, right? You're seeing it in medical as well, where you have that, once you've kind of done your due diligence, it's a way to provide, service of, instead of let's talk on the phone, let's do a video chat. As far as I understand, in any state I've seen or asked that question, is if you've done if it's basically just another way of providing the service that you could provide on the phone or provide in person, a video chat is accepted. I don't think for marketing purposes, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't charge just for them to come and ask you, like, hey, do you do this kind of issue, and is it something you can help with? The next step would be, yes, we can help with that. Would you like to set up an appointment? At that point, you can start doing your due diligence there.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's basically a way to make yourself available almost 24/7 to someone who finds you on the internet, and maybe that helps you get business over another attorney who doesn't have that option. But the caveat certainly is don't give legal advice when you've got just this chat and you don't know who the client is. But on the other hand, if you're going to do a video chat with a client who you've already engaged, you've signed a fee agreement, etc., that would be fine. I mean, you can do a video chat and get paid for that. But this is a little bit different.
Right.
So I think we can wrap up now. I don't see any additional questions. So Mark, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, your expertise. This was an excellent webinar. Mark, do you mind sending me your slides so I can make those available to folks?
Absolutely. I'll send you the slides, and then the link will be there. Okay. I'll probably keep the link up for a week.
Okay.
But, I probably can't keep this ongoing for the rest of your.
Absolutely. So if anyone needs that link again, we'll have it up until Mark takes it down. But if you'd like a copy of the slides, we'll put those up as well. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks.